Welcome back to the Malt Miller YouTube channel, Homebrewers. In this video, Martin and I are going to be looking at ways you can enhance your homebrewed wine kits. Now, over the last 12 months, you and I, Martin, have spent quite a bit of time at home brewing wine kits, and I've been really impressed with the results that I've gained. Me and my other half have been drinking our way through quite a few different varieties, and like I said, the results have been fantastic.
Mate, it's a similar thing to me at home. You know, since I've discovered you can make high quality wine at home that is as good as the stuff you can buy, I've been trying lots of different kits. You know, I really love the Wine Expert kits. Just started using the SG, which is the old Solomon Grundy brand.
Yeah.
You know, there's such a width of range and price points for different brackets. But James, as we've discovered, people who make beer kits, they like to tinker. They like to pimp it up. They like to go beyond the instructions, you know, adding extra hops, swapping out the yeast. So I think it's about time we tried the same with the wine kits. What can we do to enhance, elevate, and slightly change the wine kits that are on the shelf?
To do this, we're going to do some experiments today, aren't we? Now, we've got a couple of our 6-bottle wine kits here, so smaller batch sizes, so we can have a play around before we scale that up onto one of the larger batch sizes where you can make like 30 bottles of wine. We're going to be looking at how we can enhance one of our favourite red wine styles, certainly for me, which is a Malbec. Now, we've got the Wine Expert Chilean Malbec that we're going to play around with. And then over on this side, we're going to do a white, because I know you personally adore white wine, don't you?
Yeah, white wine is definitely the favourite in our house.
So we're going to look at the SG Classic, which is a dry white, and we're going to see how we might be able to apply some of our experiments to that kit as well.
The great thing with these little kits, you know, they're affordable, you know, they're easy to use, but yeah, perfect for this experimentation.
Absolutely.
So James, what's the first thing you're going to do with your red wine kits?
Well, first and foremost, actually we're going to apply this to all of our wine kits, because this is something I've done now on the last 3 or 4 wine kits that I've made. And it's not a different ingredient that we sell here at the Malt Miller, but it's water, Martin. So I have been using bottled water in all of my wine kits, because actually, you know, where we live here in Swindon, it's really hard water. I could play around with water chemistry, but actually as a starting point for this, using bottled water, which is something that a lot of people do when they're making beer kits, is a great way to start.
See, I'd never thought of doing that. All of my wine kits, I just literally use tap water. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what the results are with that.
Yeah, but we're going to use that across all of them, okay? Because I think I'm so passionate about the results that I've had that I think you should do that. Certainly if you're brewing the smaller batches as well, because you're not going to use too much bottled water. It's not too much of an additional cost. Now, the second enhancement that we're going to make is in the red wine kits, or the majority of the red wine kits that you get from Wine Expert, you get a pouch of oak chips, but it's really fine, almost like sawdust in there. Now, I'm not sure the origins of that oak. I'm not sure what it's derived from, what region it's from, you know, whether it's French, whether it's American, whether it's somewhere else. So we're actually going to use a new product that's come into us at the Malt Miller, and that is our premium oak chips that we've sourced. Okay, and we've talked about these in another video when we're looking at doing mixed fermentation that's aged on oak for beer making, but we're going to use them in wine making, because especially the dark toasted French oak it's from France. It's a homogenization of darker toasts, so we're going to be able to extract some really interesting oak character from these, and I think this is an amazing way to enhance your red wine kit. So that's what we're going to be doing with the red wine, Martin. What have you got up your sleeve for the white wine kits that we're going to be making today?
So James, with the white wine kit, I'm keeping it pretty simple. I'm going to switch out the yeast and add a different nutrient. Now these I've tried before when doing an SG kit. You know, it just seems to dry it out a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
It's a champagne yeast. So then what I'm going to do after I've finished the wine, I'm going to carbonate it.
Yes, which is something you've been playing around with at home, right?
Mate, seriously, Carver in our house is definitely the house favourite.
Yeah.
My wife loves it. I like it. I like it in an Aperol Spritz, you know. So having this carbonated, try and replace the carbo.
Yeah, okay, nice. Well, that seems like a sensible way to practice, you know, our advanced winemaking techniques. Now, it'll be interesting to try the finished wine side by side uncarbonated.
Yeah.
But then taking some and putting it into, you know, maybe like a 5 litre keg.
Yeah, or an ox bar.
Yeah, or an ox bar, yeah. Adding carbonation and then serving it on your kegerator at home. Well, you know, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I've already got a tap at home. I've given up just purely to fizzy wine.
So we're going to start off, Martin, by mixing up our red wine kits from Wine Expert. As I've said, we're doing the Chilean Malbec, which is one of my personal favourites in terms of a style. But I'm just going to talk you through the Wine Expert kit in a little bit more detail, because actually we love these kits because of the amount of kind of quality you get in the box. Now, you've made a couple of them as well, haven't you? And you've said the same.
Yeah, it's a real high concentrated grape juice, so
Yeah.
you get a real good flavour of wine.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not just the grape juice. You get some other interesting bits in here as well. So you get, obviously, we've touched on the oak granules. So we've got our toasted oak granules, which we're going to be using in one of the kits. You get your clearing agents, you get your yeast, you get your stabilizer, and of course you get your instructions. Now, I've made a few of these, so I don't necessarily need to read the instructions. But the thing that you just touched on is the grape juice itself. So you get a big bladder inside of each box, and in these you get 1.6 litres of grape juice. Now that means that in total we're making 4.5 litres. So we don't need to add any additional sugars. We don't need to add too much more water to the mix to bring it up to our volume. So like you said, you get that real kind of presence of the original grapes in the finished wine.
Yeah.
So to mix these up, the first thing we need to do is make sure we've got all our equipment ready. So today we're going to be making the smaller kits, so we're using demijohns for that. If you were making one of the larger kits, you'd need a larger bucket of some sort, like one of the plastic fermenter buckets we've got, or
Plastic carboy.
yeah, or you know, maybe like a chubby from Fermenter King, you know, because that's actually a really good all-round unit because of the ability to push the finished wine out under pressure, minimizing oxidization. Now, we're also going to need some sanitizer. We're going to need our bottled water, a jug, and in this jug at the moment I've got some very hot water, because the first thing we need to do is add half a litre of hot water to both of the demijohns. So could you just pop the airlocks out for me?
Yep, those are all nice and sanitised for you.
Yeah, pop the funnel in as well for me, please. So I've got a litre in here. I'm going to add half a litre into each. There we go, that should do it. And then the very first ingredient that needs to be added is our bentonite. Now this helps with clearing the finished wine, and you have to add it at the very beginning. It needs to be mixed into hot water. So as I've said, we're going to be doing both of these at the same time, so we just need to follow exactly the same steps at this point. Okay, now the bentonite needs to be mixed in. So the best way to do that is pick it up, give it a really good swirl around. Now, it will dissolve, but there'll be bits of it that won't necessarily dissolve. So don't worry too much about that at this point. There we go. Now the next step is to get our grape juice in. Now we are going to want to use funnel for this. And there's loads of different techniques. Personally, I just like to cut the corner off of the bag. Okay, so if you remember, I said that there was 1.6 litres of juice in this bag, and we've added half a litre of hot water. So that brings us up to 2.1 litres. Now we need to bring the whole volume up to 4.5 litres of finished product in here. So that means we need to add another 2.4 litres of water. Now, there's different ways of doing this, but personally, I like to add some, measure it out, add some into the bag so that we rinse out everything that's in the bag and add that, and then add the rest. So we need to measure that out. Okay, so we're just going to finish topping this up to 2.4 litres. And then we add little bit of water into the bag. Take that back out for me. Give it a little swirl around, and then we're going to pour the rest of that in as well. And then I know now that all I need to do with this one is
top it up.
Top it up with the remaining water. There we go. So now we'll crack on and get the other one filled up, and then we'll be back to start adding yeast and our oak chip additions. Both of the kits are mixed up. Now it's on to adding yeast and oak. So the one on the left here, we're going to do as per the instructions that come with the kit. So this is our sachet of oak granules that we've got here. Now it comes with 3.4 grams, okay? So if you could just whip the airlock open for me on that one.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, it's like a...
Very sawdusty.
Oh, it's like a coarse coffee.
Yeah. Now with the second one, where we're using our own oak chips, which are the dark toasted premium French oak chips that I talked about earlier, I've gone with double the weight. So there's 3.4 grams of the oak granules in the packet that comes with the kit. Yeah. I've gone with double the volume on this one, just because of the surface area. We've got a powder over here, really, so high contact area. These are chips, so there's a reduced amount of contact space. But because of the quality of these, I'm really excited to see what the results are like. So we need to get them into the demijohn, which could be a little bit challenging. So we just need to take our time. There we go, masterfully done. Now the next thing to do is to add our yeast, okay? Now you get 2 grams of wine yeast in both the kits. I'm gonna get you to do one of them, I'll do the other. Push them right in. And at this point, just pick the demijohn up, give it a little bit of a swirl, just to get everything incorporated. And there we go. Now these will take a couple of weeks to ferment. Really, you need to just keep an eye on both the airlock activity, and if you do want to, you can take samples out to do gravity readings. Personally, I think time is your best friend with these. Leave it for as long as you can. Therefore, you know it will be finished before you move on to the next stage, okay?
So James, it's now time to do the white wine kit.
Yeah.
Now these are by SG Wines, previously known as Solomon Grundy. This is the classic range. So it's not as premium as the product that you've just been doing.
Yeah.
So this one, we do need to add some sugar into it.
Okay, fine. But what I do love about these kits, just before we go too far, is the size of the box.
Letterbox shape.
Yeah, which is absolutely awesome. Means it can be sent by Royal Mail, you know, fit through letterbox. Really, really cool. So what's in the box for these then?
Right, so in these we have instructions, which, you know, if you've not done a wine kit, you're going to need. You've also got your nutrients and your yeast. You've then got your clearing agents. You've got white wine flavour.
Yeah.
And then grape juice concentrate.
Okay, nice. You also get acidity regulator with these, don't you, as well, just to keep the acidity within the wine kind of in check, which again, if you prefer a wine that's maybe a little bit more acidic, you might want to play around with how much of that you add in, I guess.
Yeah. Right, so the first thing we've got to do, we've got to mix up our brewing sugar.
Yeah.
Now, because we're having to mix brewing sugar, hot water, and all of the little packets, I decided I'm going to mix it all in the jug.
Okay.
Rather than in the demijohn.
Yeah.
Because you can get in there, stir it all, make sure it's properly mixed together.
And then pour it into the demijohn.
Pour it into the demijohn, because they give you a final volume that you've got to aim for. We've got no markings on the demijohn, so it just makes a little bit sense to do it in this.
Yeah, nice.
So first thing first, we're going to put the jug on the scales, set the tare, and we need to put 670 grams dextrose into here.
Okay.
If you're using granulated sugar, it varies slightly.
Yeah.
Okay. So the scales are at 0. We're then going to snip off the corner, and it's going to look like a snow scene in here because this stuff just goes everywhere. And we're just going to pour in until we get to 670. Look at that, spot on.
So what we're doing now, adding hot water?
Hot water next.
Great,
so
okay.
If you could grab the kettle.
Yep. Here's one I prepared earlier.
So let's take it off the scales so it's a bit more stable.
Yeah, so we're adding a litre in, right, of boiled water.
Yes, put a litre of boiling water in there.
Yeah.
And this, I've boiled up the bottled water that you kindly brought along to this. Okay,
Yeah.
mix that in.
Great thing about brewing sugar is it does dissolve so much more easily than granulated.
Yeah, so that's nice and clear inside the jug.
Yeah. So what's next into the jug after this?
The grape juice is next, James. So we're going to grab that, just give it a little mix. And then again, snip off the corner. Great thing about these pouches, just goes in, and then you can just roll it up and squeeze out the very last of it. You know, it's the consistency of it is a little bit lighter than honey,
Okay,
but
yeah.
it's still syrupy.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks good, mate. So if you could grab the bottle of water, and we're going to top this up to, well, it says 4.6 litres.
Yeah.
I think 4.5.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
do it a little bit short. I'd like it a little bit stronger than 10 point, whatever percent it's saying it's going to be.
Yeah, so these come out about 10.5%, don't they?
Right.
So yeah, it's going to make it a little bit closer to 11. And our jug is obviously sanitised, so's our paddle, everything we're using.
And that's going to go into there.
Okay, do you want me to hold the funnel for you?
Well, I was hoping you'd pour the jug in and make the mess rather than me.
Okay, so once we've got this one in, we're going to mix the other one up before we add all our other
and then
bits
we
and
can add the
pieces.
pieces,
Yeah.
Right, James, that's the second one mixed up.
Yeah.
So I propose that we keep this as the standard one.
Okay.
So if you could add in the 3 packets here, which is the acid regulator,
Yeah.
yeast nutrient, and then the yeast.
Okay. Yeah, I can crack on with that. What are you going to be doing?
Right, so with this one, I'm going to add in the acid regulator. We're going to add all of it in on both of these this time. I think that could be another experiment, though, playing around with those. Right, and then with my yeast and yeast nutrient, which are not the ones that came with the kit. So these are the Mangrove Jacks ones. These have got twice the amount of what the standard packs have. So I'm going to weigh these out and put half of them in.
Okay, so you could then end up with enough left over to maybe do another batch at the same time.
I mean, we could do another kit.
And I guess like with beer yeast, there's quite a lot of different yeasts available on the market that you can have a play around with
God,
these,
yeah,
right?
Within the wine yeast market, there's a lot of different dried ones we can do. Right, so that's the yeast going in as well now.
Well done, you didn't make a mess as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what, airlock's in, yeah?
Yep, so put the bung in and then push the airlock into the bung. Let me get that bung in nice and tight.
Okay, so we're now ready to leave these to ferment, right?
Yeah, you know, you can put a heat belt on them or you can put a heat mat on them,
Yeah.
which will help regulate temperature and help them move along a little bit more rather than leaving them in a cold room.
Yeah, cool. There is one important thing that I think we should talk about, which we just need to have a quick tidy up to show people. The really important thing that I was alluding to is if you're going to be venturing into the world of doing experiments, label your fermenters, right? So you can see we've added some labels to the front of the fermenters here so we can keep track of what's going on in each of these, because you know you could in theory have quite a few of these going all at the same time, right? So it's a really good idea and just makes for peace of mind so that you know what you've got at the end.
Well, James, I guess all that's left to do now is to leave these for a couple of weeks, then come back and taste the results.
I can't wait.
James, as if by magic, we're back with finished wine. And it's been about 6 weeks since we made these kits.
It has. A bit of an outfit change. We're now in short sleeves. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how these wine kits have turned out, Martin, with our bit of invention that we've applied to both of them.
Yeah.
Now we've bottled all of the wine up from the kits and we've got a sample of each of the kits here in representative bottles and we've labelled them up so that we know which one we're going to be trying. This isn't a blind taste test, but we will do our best to try and pick out what the differences are based on the tweaks we made to the recipe. Where do you want to start?
I think we should start with the whites. Let's have a glass of each of the white and start there first.
Okay, cool. Let's crack on, get some poured, see how they're tasting.
I like that you put the little white stoppers in, so we haven't got to mess about with a corkscrew, so that's going to make life a lot easier. Right, James, that's the wine poured. Right, first one I'm going to give you, standard.
Okay.
No fettling, no messing about, no pimping it up type
So
of thing.
standard in my left hand.
Standard wine kit yeast used on this one. Okay.
Yep.
The one on the right, that's the one we pimped up with the Mangrove Jack's yeast.
And the yeast nutrient as well.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
So,
Right, they both look reasonably similar, although I'd say the one that we used the Mangrove Jack's yeast and yeast nutrient in has a slight cloudiness to it.
that might just be my siphoning skills.
Yeah, we've all been there. Right, okay, let's
Nose?
Yeah, give them a nose. They do smell different. I don't know whether that's psychosomatic, because I know you can tell they're the same, but this one, the one with the Mangrove Jack's, just smells a little bit fruitier.
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same actually.
Yeah. Right.
I know it sounds a bit predictable. It smells more grapey.
Yes, it does, yeah. Okay, Chin Chin,
Chin.
going for a taste.
Oh, which one are you going for first?
I'm going to go with the standard.
Okay, let's go standard.
It's a very pleasant dry white wine.
Yeah, you know, if you were paying £6 a bottle in the supermarket, that's not bad.
Yep. Could do with being a bit colder. You could have put the bottles in the fridge.
Yeah, I didn't have time.
Slightly acidic, as you'd expect. Yeah.
Dry.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Let's go for this one then.
It's a little bit more punchy, I think.
The acidity seems a bit more well balanced. The flavour seems a bit more fruity, a bit more grapey, as you said.
It's almost got a little bit of, I don't know, it's almost like there's a little bit more body, a bit more roundness to it.
Yeah.
More gooseberry notes to it, as well as kind of the grapiness.
I think what would be really interesting, because, you know, we were hoping that the Mangrove Jack's yeast was going to attenuate lower than the standard kit yeast to try and dry the kit out.
Mm.
I think it'd be interesting for us to do a gravity reading using the Anton Par.
Yeah, let's grab that and let's
Easy
give that a
goes.
go.
Yeah, actually see what the gravity points are. It might be completely psychosomatic, and they'll be exactly the same. But there does seem to be, weirdly, a bit more body into this one.
But that could be
Than this
just
one.
driven by the aroma, because that is also going to impact on how it tastes.
Yeah. I think if I were choosing a wine out of the two, I'd choose our slightly enhanced version.
Okay.
What about you?
Hot summer's day in the park with a bottle of wine, enjoying a picnic, I'd think I'd go with the standard kit. This, I think, is more of an evening enjoyer because it's got that much more to it. So I think they're both really good and have a different place.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so before we jump into trying our red wine kits, should we test the gravity on these?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Right, so I've loaded up our Anton Par, and I've got a sample of the first kit in here. Okay.
So that's with the kit yeast.
Yes, yeah, so let's get a gravity reading on this. So the specific gravity of the kit wine is 0.995,
Yep.
which is kind of about where you would expect a wine kit to be. Let's now dump the rest of that out. Take a sample of the other kit where we swapped the yeast out. Push that through.
Identical.
Well, 0.996. So there is 1 point between them.
Well, less than that.
Yeah. And actually, the kit yeast is the one that's slightly drier, which is not what we were expecting.
Well, we did say that it felt like it had more body to it.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe that's what we're perceiving in our mouth. Like I said, it could all be completely psychosomatic and just something we're concocting in our brains.
Yeah, because the chance of our mouths being able to identify 0.001 difference is really going to be out there.
Well, come on, Martin, speak for yourself. My palate's absolutely fantastic. I'm basically a walking hydrometer. Anyway, that's a really interesting result.
Yeah.
There was definitely a distinct difference in flavour, though. The one that we used, the subbed out yeast, definitely seemed to have more fruit character, both on the nose and on the palate. So, really interesting. Should we move on to doing some reds?
Yeah, let's get the reds cracked open.
Let's dive into these red wines. Now, just a reminder, this was one of the Wine Expert Malbec kits, a kit that I've brewed before at home and absolutely adored. So I'm really interested to see how the oak character differs based on our approach to adding oak chips. So this one here on our left
Okay.
is the one with our Malt Miller oak chips in.
Yep.
One on the right That's the standard oak granules that you get in the kit. Right, I mean, appearance-wise, they look exactly the same as red wine. It's very difficult to distinguish any haze or anything like that, but neither of them look muddy, shall we say. Let's go in for a smell.
Can't really get any difference on the nose.
No, not a huge amount. It might show up in the body in that tannin thing in the mouth. So let's go in for a taste. Start with the kit oak.
Standard?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the red wine Malbec kit from Wine Expert that I've had before.
Yeah, slightly oaky.
Yep, really tasty. Perfect. Maybe not for this time of year where it's a bit warm, but certainly in the winter months.
Well, who knows what tomorrow's going to bring, the way this summer's been.
That's very true. Oh, there's a lot more in the way of tannin in that one.
Yeah, but it also feels a little bit dry on the tongue at the end.
Yeah, I think that's the tannins. I think that oak has definitely added to that.
Again, it's only a slight variation, but it's only a slight change we made.
It is, but I think that's got so much more complexity to it than the standard one. Now, again, this could totally be down to the fact that we know what was being done here, and we probably should have done these as a blind taste test. But I can distinguish a difference. This has definitely got that slightly more drying finish.
Yeah.
Kind of currant, like red currant, blackberry, you know, the sort of tannins that you get from the seeds in those.
This to me tastes a bit more plummy.
Yeah.
But this does feel more packed with berry fruits and that dryness. Both really good wines.
Yeah, really interesting though, right? Being able to just make one change on both of these kits to end up with a wine that is different, you know, that does have some slight complexity to it over the other.
So if you were having to choose a favourite,
easy drinking, the standard kit. Something to maybe stand up against, like a big roast dinner or, you know, something in that arena, then the one that's got more oak, certainly.
yeah, for me, I kind of wish we'd made this in December and we were drinking this in winter in front of a log burner.
Yeah.
It would have been great.
Yeah, but there's definitely more complexity to this one than this one. Really interesting.
Yeah. Now, I think it just goes to show you can make little tweaks to these wine kits and make an impact, and just keep playing around with them.
Yeah.
Before we go, I've got one more little treat for you.
Oh, have you? A curveball?
Yeah. So the wine kit, the white one,
Yeah.
I've put some into a 5-litre keg. It's in the fridge over there, James.
Okay.
You can try it fizzy and just see how that works out.
Oh, fizzy wine on a Wednesday afternoon.
And you'll be pleased to know I have stuck it in the fridge for us.
Excellent. Right, well, you better crack it open then.
Right. Right, there you go, James. I've gone for the Czech pour on that for you.
The Czech poured sparkling wine.
Now, look, normally I would use our party tap, which has a step down to 3/16 line. Hadn't got one around, so, you know, I've just kind of gone with this. So a lot of the carbonation has just come out in foam.
Okay, but there is some carbonation in there.
Yeah, it's fizzy.
Yeah. It smells like fizzy white wine.
Yeah, you know, you just pump up the pressure, shake it for a few minutes. I put about a wine bottle's worth in there.
Yeah.
And then I've got it in the fridge and left it chilling for a bit with that nice, like, high pressure on there. It's fizzed up the wine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, let's give it a go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Chin chin.
That's good, man. I reckon a bit more time in the fridge, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the thing actually with liquids that you're trying to carbonate that have got a lower gravity. Actually getting the carbonation to stay in them is really difficult. It's why making hard seltzer actually and putting it in a keg can be a real challenge, or tonic water.
Yeah, which is why I like the party line that we do with the step down, because even with the high pressure, it reduces the flow of it out there, so it retains a lot of the CO2 in there.
Yeah, that's true. Spritzy. There's two things going on here that are different to how we tasted it before when it was flat. Firstly, there's an instant like sweetness, like that berry sweetness, because you used the switched out yeast for this.
Yes,
which
I did,
again,
yeah.
What we were perceiving on that wine, but you're getting that like instant kind of, you know, grapey sweetness. But then the dryness as well seems to come through in a bigger hit as well. You know, at the end, like that cleansing kind of acidity that you expect. That's really interesting. I'm going to be doing that at home, definitely.
I already do this at home. I have a keg of this on home for my wife, and she absolutely adores having just fizzy white wine on tap at home. And I've done it again with a step down line. It's also great for making apple spritz, which you know I absolutely adore.
You do, yeah, you're a bit of a monster for them.
So it's a great thing to have on home during the summer.
Yeah. Well, Martin, thank you very much for exposing me to this particular method, because it's not anything I've considered doing before. So, yeah, really good. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Now, if you've made it to the end of the video, we really appreciate it. Please make sure that if you haven't already, you're subscribed to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and also give this video a thumbs up. Gives us a big help. But I think, Martin, we can say that this has been an absolute success.
It's been an education, and it's been great to try different things with off-the-shelf wine kits.
And they're wine kits that we've both brewed before, and we know and love them. And actually, as we alluded to in the first part of this video, we've both spent quite a lot of time making wine kits over the last year. This is just that next little notch on the ladder to create something that we can say is truly ours, right?
Yeah. Definitely. I think if you guys at home have had a go at making wine kits, you know, switched out an ingredient, pimped them up, changed them around, please hit us up in the comments below. Let us know exactly what you did and how it turned out.
Yeah, we'd love to find out more so we can share that even more widely with our home brewing community. Now, all that remains for us to say is thank you once again. Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And of course, as ever, have a great brew. Cheers.
Cheers.